So Tracy Dsouza is the name that comes to mind when you think about, is there somebody who knows all about girls? That's one. Then the other introduction that comes to mind is somebody who has understood digital entertainment very well. You know, digital entertainment is something that we see all around us, but how to do it successfully, that's something that Tracy knows extremely well. So why is that so? Because she built Girliyapa at TVF. Now she is building Oh My Girls, a community for women, and then she is now building Whoosh Entertainment, which provides production facilities to companies. Then, so Tracy, first of all, after learning all about women, after sitting all day long discussing what women want, what women do not want, do you think you have become any wiser about these matters?
So honestly speaking, I feel like, actually let me just backtrack and give a little extensive introduction about myself.
Yeah.
So I'm Tracy, and I'm. Thank you for getting me on your platform. Let's hope that whoever is watching this will take away some sort of value out of this.
Yeah.
So when I began my journey or my career per se, it was in fitness. So I used to train guys at a gym. I was a fitness trainer.
Wow.
So people are like, what, from fitness training? And prior to that, I used to teach dance. I was a choreographer. So when I was growing up in school, so from there, then I went to fitness training, and from there I sort of got in touch with Prahlad Kakkad, the ad guru. And when I sort of joined him, the experience was really different. The excitement was so humongous. I wanted to be part of the whole rush that happens when you're on set, and there's a lot of chaos, but it's that one head that makes sure that everything is together and running smoothly, because time is money.
Yeah.
And you are creating value. So in that sort of journey, or at least at that point, I realized I wanted to be part of the entertainment business, and from there it all started going uphill, so which is great. So I spent 7 years in advertising. I learned everything that was there to learn, and on the job. I don't have a formal training in filmmaking, but I'm blessed that I had, or I come from that film school where everything is so hands-on, and you have to learn like everything from. Prahlad is that way, he's very, very specific about what he wants, and then you learn the biggest I think lesson in filmmaking is that the God is in the details, and that's what I learned from him. So I remember like going to like Lohar Chawl and trying to find like these little props that he wants, and that prop might just even be in like a wide frame, not even like the focus of that shot, but it was so important to have like a proper framed set in that sense. And I've learned so much from him in terms of storytelling and all of that, and that has helped me in my journey.
It's very interesting. See, there are, as you said very passingly, that you have not formally trained in filmmaking. Why do we see it again and again in the pattern that leadership folks across industries, they are not formally trained in their profession? And I think you are in the race, you are in the same path as Aditya Chopra or Karan Johar maybe, because they have not trained in filmmaking professionally. So it's good that we are having a memory with her.
But I think the best training that you can get is practically doing things. And if you're on a set, I feel fortunate to be compared to them. But I feel like if you're on a set where there is so much happening, there are so many departments, they're all trying to speak to each other, and having that one vision, making sure that everyone speaks the same language.
There's a method to this madness.
Exactly, yeah. Speaks the same language is so key. And so you learn so much when you're in part of that chaos. And I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, I started from the bottom, and I am where I am, and I'm blessed because I've learned.
And Tracy, this brings us to a very important question. You've done ad filmmaking, which is like big budget making. Then you also built Girliyapa.
Yeah,
right? So you've been in digital entertainment,
yeah,
which is very low cost activity, and you've done big budget production. What is the difference that is most stuck. How did you graduate? Like, how did you take it?
So, sorry, I'll just complete that little intro of mine. So basically, then from advertising, while I sort of, I've always been very tech savvy, and I sort of watch trends, and I realized that YouTube is going to be big. So I happened to even mention it to people that I'm working with, that we should start putting content, not content. I said I was using the word, let's start making videos and putting them on YouTube. And at that point, that was not taken very seriously.
Yeah.
So then I started looking out, and fortunately I had the opportunity to work with other colleagues who were out in the business, and I did a year of freelancing. While I was doing that, I did one Hollywood film.
Wow.
And that was a great experience because I learned a lot of professionalism that comes from the American film industry, SAG and all of that, and they're very particular about things and how they function. There's a proper process, system, and all of that. So I think that was also another additional
Wow.
international level sort of training that I had. It was 3 months of working on islands and shooting with like a crew that was all across the world. We had like the equivalent of Shah Rukh from Spain and all of that. So that was great. And then while I was doing that, I came back and I was trying to figure what else now. Is when I fortunately got in touch with Arunab. I was introduced to Raghav, who works with Arunab, and through someone that I wanted to hire for my own company, Smita. And I haven't met her till date. Okay, it's been more than 7 or 8 years, but she's in Pune, so hopefully I'll get to meet her. So she's the one who sort of linked us up, and then I think it's history. I joined there as someone who was supposed to produce, but at that point, like you said, digital entertainment was at low cost. The sketches that were being done was at really low cost, and then you come from doing advertising, where at that point the budgets were even like 2 CR, 3 CR.
Yeah,
of course today it's
even
nowhere close. You'll probably, unless of course you're a big name, then it might be different. And then post that, then we were doing videos where the cost was not really like maybe 1-10% of that budget. So that was a learning. So I sort of unlearned what I had learned, but I adapted the processes, the storytelling nuances I learned, the detailing, and I sort of added that in what I was building. Fortunately, we also realized that while we were doing content, we could diversify. And of course, being a girl and understanding what works for a girl, the first thing was, of course, Girliyapa. It was another channel. We sort of rebranded it and all of that. I was fortunate to also have a great team. I think a team is very important because you are what you are when you have a superb team. And so I had a great team, and I had very good encouragement internally as well. I could sort of experiment, do what I wanted to do, and that sort of helped my team. And I think in like 2 years we were quite a known brand.
Yeah.
In its own way. We did a lot of collabs, film promos. We had like actors coming and doing our skits. We had YouTube creators for change we did. So all of that was good. We went to London, collaborated. So I think that was an amazing experience. And coming back to your question about budgets, I think of course from sketches we then sort of moved to long format web shows, and then Netflix, Prime, and all the other bigger OTTs also came into the picture. So the budgets were not really bad.
Yeah.
They are good enough, but it depends on what you're sort of creating. Of course, if you're doing advertising and digital videos for brands, there might be a different budget you're playing with. Again, depends on the players or the brand, how big the brand is. Otherwise, even OTTs have decent budgets to make content. So it's not very stark. It's just that you might do a 30-second at that budget, whereas this is a longer format. But even with digital now, it's changed where advertising also doesn't pay you that sort of monies that it used to pay at one point.
How do you see the you witness the growth of entertainment startups, digital entertainment startups, and we've just had this filter copies sold at a certain number below whatever 200 CR and all. So generally media and entertainment, digital entertainment, that's not a very favored category as a startup, for a startup investor and all. What has been your experience? What made all of these startups, so very so very popular amongst investors also.
So I believe, if you see the people who invested in these startups are people who have an appetite for risk and who also probably diversify their investments. So you won't find them like, if they have invested in Filter Copy, they've also invested in TVF. So the thing is that media does become like a service industry at some point, right? And there's a lot of variables involved. So you are not guaranteed success. Like I can't say that I will be successful if I put out 10 videos, because it's very subjective in terms of what I'm creating, at what point I'm creating, and how is the audience going to sort of accept it. So there are a lot of variables to it. So that's why people are very apprehensive when it comes to media and investing in like people who are media focused. And the bigger players are the ones who have that sort of a kitty to invest and the fund to invest in,
So it's the
media.
big investors,
and of course
who
they diversify, right? They are not.
Yeah.
They are not just putting their money in
Their
entertainment.
portfolio
They're
is
putting in
in
tech,
other,
in all of that.
Yeah.
So then it's okay. You can balance your, even if one doesn't work. But if you see, and then the smaller startups will either be people who come from money or people who are like friends and family who are like angel investors and that way. But I think the ones who are investors will probably see your growth, see what you've and then
that
which is I think
fair.
due diligence
Any
required for
industry
any
that has that process.
yeah.
So Tracy, the fun part about discussing about having an interview with you is that, see, Shakespeare said that what's in a woman's mind we never understand, or something. But maybe after spending all of these years discussing women, what they want, what they don't want, what they like, what they do not like, are you any wiser? Do you think that anybody who watches all of those videos, sketches, or those who have been part of the team, they would understand anything better about relationships and women and all of that? Like, a psychologist hasn't solved his own problems, right? So what do you think?
So I feel like there are two things here, right? From a personal perspective, I am a girl. You can't change my gender and what I believe in, right? And that will always be intrinsic to who I am, my beliefs. As a person, I believe that I'm constantly growing. So if I have a belief about a certain thing today, but if I've learned something else tomorrow, I might adapt that belief or I might change it. And I think that is completely natural. If you don't evolve, I think you're not growing. So growth comes from change and constant unlearning, learning.
Talk about Oh My Girls first. It's about providing content around women, but it's also about creating a community for women. So what made you start this kind of a venture? That's one thing that we are very...
So, as a girl, this is something that's very close to me. I'm very passionate about it, to create a space, a safe space where, any girl can come, learn, understand what's happening around them, be encouraged and inspired to also do something as or what they seem is fit for them. I think if I had to in one line say what OMG is basically a community where we believe in taking up space not just online through content but offline through events and experiences. And we have done a lot of, besides of course content, we've also done a lot of events. We've done a female focused event like treks. We do only girls treks. We've done travel meetups for only girls who do solo travel. We've done a mental fitness event. We also have some planned in terms of finance. How can women sort of invest and grow in terms of making monetary decisions, savings, investments, and all of that, and the opportunities that are there. So these are some of the things, but of course we want to grow and build the community to a really larger number.
And the other venture that you have is Whoosh Entertainment. What is it about?
So I've realized that OMG तो बहुत passion से बना हुआ है, तो लेकिन वो passion it's bootstrapped. I don't have an investor right now. So it's bootstrapped, and I feel like if I have to continue to build something that I'm passionate on, I have to make monies. And Whoosh Entertainment is gender agnostic. It is a content company. The focus is to create content for brands, and we've done some marketing work for them, for brands. We can do, and web shows for OTTs basically. So it's a mix of both, and but the bottom line is content related to anything that is something that either brand or OTT would want to do. We've done content strategy for influencers also, because we understand content very well. So we understand what works, we understand the audience. So we sort of can predict and plan that let's do content around this.
A few tips I wanted for producers and all. The way the industry, filmmaking industry is, it's become very expansive. There's a lot of activity happening. But let's say 80% of people who create films, create whatever web series, they never see the light of the day. Like they are stuck somewhere. What are the 1 or 2 tips you give to producers who want to make sure that their content gets out there? What's the common mistake that you can see?
Honestly, about content getting out there, then we're talking about distribution, right? So for distribution, again, depending on what we are talking, if we're talking about an individual creator wanting to create something or their own voice, till you don't have a community which you are sort of consistently putting out content, that community doesn't grow. But if you are someone who wants a bigger platform, maybe a global platform, of course YouTube and all, its content is on the internet, anybody can consume it. But if you don't have the financial, I think, capabilities, I think the best thing would sort of be to tie in OTT or with the production house or another studio. Do your tie-ups before you start sort of creating. I think that is very important, because then you at least know that it will see the light of the day.
Okay.
The other thing is, I feel like in today's age, the digital age that we are in, it's very important to do collabs. मतलब ऐसे नहीं, like there was a time of competitions. I think collaboration should always be above competition, because I feel what happens is that you learn a lot, and the weightage that network will bring you, while you also allow your net worth being used, is that you both grow eventually.
One question over here also is, this last 7-8 years, there have been very successful creators in the digital space. But none of them have been able to reach out to public the way Bollywood has. Like, what do you think has been lacking? You have a very so many platforms, so many individual creators. They are doing extremely great work. The industry knows about them. They have millions of followers, but they don't hit the ball out of the park in the way Bollywood does.
I might not really agree on that. So here's the thing, right? So when we started creating content on YouTube, I'll give you from examples around me and people I've worked with. Like if you had to speak about like a Biswapati Sarkar, Bisso, you've seen Kala Pani, I'm assuming, so if you speak about him, so he was doing this series on TVF, Barely Speaking with Arnab, where he plays
a caricature of
Arnab.
He who must not be named.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you see at that point when that started, he became so popular. Bollywood is driven by the fact that you have to either come from someone, you have to have a name, or you have to have a chocolate boy look and all of that, right? You have that versus digital stars. Digital stars are people who are regular people, who don't come with the tall, fair, handsome, those meeting those criteria. They are regular people who have become stars, and that's why digital celebs, right? So a lot of them have become very popular and have their own pull and network. Even like Bhuvan Bam, for example, I think him doing things on his own alone. He's also, of course, doing shows. I'm sure he'll do a movie also soon. So I think in terms of commanding that, one is the hero worship. I think that happens with digital stars as well as Bollywood. The only thing is that I think with films is that we end up hero worshipping, actors. and that's why they say, if a film actor does TV, you might not go and pay $300 to watch him on a film screen. So that aura is always maintained with like film actors. It's same way it's compared to a web show or actors from a web series or influencers, or not influencers, I would say content creators in that sense, so I think the idea is that I feel like both have their own pull, but the reason why Bollywood would probably have a larger this is because Bollywood has been in, we know it, it's in our bloods. Digital has just evolved in India as of now, right? And where digital celebs became popular like the last
5-7 years.
Exactly. And now everybody is a creator, everybody can be a star.
Creator.
So that whole, and if you see that, there were, like at some point I remember in the beginning of this whole web show era that was starting, is that where actors, even Bollywood actors, wanted to sort of be casted in like web shows at that point. So where they used to approach us, where they want to do small skates and all of that. And now everyone's doing a show as well. Like, I mean, you can do a web show because you will get paid those numbers as well. So that line is also getting blurred. But the reason why that's happening is, one has been there for a very long time. It's been in our systems. The reach of TV will never be, of films will never be less, because everywhere, even if you don't have a phone, you'll probably have a theater. Even single screening, you'll go watch films, right? And we've always come up with the culture of hero worship, where if you go see Hollywood, you will not find, like, I mean, you might have an actor just walk right in midst of you and you will not probably even look at him the second time. Whereas if not even Shah Rukh, even a slightly more younger actor who's there will probably walk, you'll be like, oh my god, let me take a selfie with him, So
So Tracy, to come to a closure of our endless discussion, entertainment, we covered digital entertainment and all. What inspires you to look ahead? I mean, what is it that you wish to do in your life that you've not spoken about before?
I don't know. I think I'm very excited about the AI and Web3 space, and I have, in fact, for the last few months contemplating how I can sort of build with my experience in content, in understanding audiences, in understanding creators, understanding storytelling, marketing, all of that. How can I use AI and build in Web3 or with AI? So that has been my current dilemma, and then I'm sort of trying to figure that. But I feel like that's where it will be. And my deepest desire for the world to know is to be internationally known for my work. So, yes.
Okay, and that work will be as a producer. What is it?
I'll say a creative entrepreneur. I don't know. I'm not really. I mean,
we never know what new medium may come up.
And the thing is that we are evolving so much. I feel that like I have gone from like dancing, choreographing, fitness to being in the content space, from producer and creator. So I feel like, I mean, I don't know, I mean, tomorrow I would want to do whatever I want to do, and I have been good at that, and I feel like it no longer applies is that if you've started and learned to be a CA, that you will end up being CA. A lot of the engineers are great storytellers.
So far, let's say we're talking to a creative entrepreneur, but the creative entrepreneur was once a gym trainer. So we never know what's in store next after 10 years.
Yeah,
we have never known.
If you dream about something, if you believe in something, and if you have that patience and drive to just go for it, you can.
How much is in the era of Instagram and Facebook or in LinkedIn? Everything seems to be instant, instant success, instant failure, instant
overnight success.
Yeah, but how much is patience a part of how much has it been part of your life?
I have been through a lot of mental stress, and especially in the pandemic. So I think pre-pandemic, I was not addressing it. So I didn't have time to sort of give myself that space to feel my emotions, because I was just like, I knew what I wanted to do and I had to just achieve. So tuck, I'm just achieving and I'm in that limelight, things are happening to me, all of that. I have no time to feel. so feel sorry for things. If someone has said something, this, that, I'll say and I'll understand they're going through something and all of that, but I'm not processing and evolving. And think the pandemic sort of broke me down and mentally, and of course then I left TVF Girliyapa, and then when you built something from scratch, you think that it's your baby, and so I had all of that baggage and like friends, this, that, all of that. So it sort of broke me down in the pandemic, and then but it took me like a year and a half to work on myself, give myself that time to work on it on my own and break through it and get out. And I feel like there were times that I was like I was giving up on things and all of that. There are days I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, who would do this? Look at me, I have so much of experience. Look at my reputation, I could be doing this. Why am I bothered with this? Like, if there's things happen, and then you start questioning that. But then I also realize, but that also gives me the excitement of doing things that people don't do, or which I believe that I will do better or something like that. So, but patience is so key. And more than patience, I think is working on your mental health and emotional health. I think if you can do that, no matter what stress comes through, you have to understand that maybe sometimes, and people, you're dealing with people constantly, whether it is someone who wants to invest in you, or if you're creating something for someone, a brand, and the person you're dealing with is not, yes, they are part of the brand, but you're dealing with a human being, and they will have their own whims, fancies, issues and all of that, and they could be projecting. So you learn to deal with all of this. So it's very important that you keep sort of maintaining your emotional graph and mental graph to sort of survive.
So I think we covered all of those things which everybody is talking about now, which everybody deep down is thinking about: mental health, digital entertainment, entrepreneurship, women empowerment, storytelling. So thanks a lot, Tracy. Thanks
Most
a lot.
welcome. Pleasure being on the podcast, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you to you and Aditya, Dr. Manjula as well. And yes, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.